Hey guys! So today I'm finally filming at home. No more vlogging, for now at least. No promises for the next video. But I want to go over a few indie trades that I got recently. If you remember, I got these first two in my vlogging at the bookstore video. I got B.P.R.D, Hollow Earth and Other Stories, and I got Chew. And then last weekend, I got Skullkickers, and I also picked up Batman the Haunted Knight, but I haven't read it yet, so obviously I'm not going to review it. But I might be doing another Bat review video soon because I have Batman the Black Glove, and I think I have another Bat book. But that'll come later. Today's just going to be for these three indies. I think this is my first indie trade review video, because usually I buy DCs, like you guys know. Hi, Pan. So yeah, today I'll probably start with... Woo! Sorry. I'll start with BPRD. I'm not too familiar with the Hellboy universe or the history. Everything I've read was just, well, I've only read Abe Sapien, the first volume so far, and the rest of my Hellboy knowledge comes from the movies. So I'm not too solid on the facts, but this story was really awesome. I got this because I really enjoyed Abe Sapien. I want to read more about him, but I also wanted to see the other agents in the Bureau. So the three main characters are right on the front here. So there's Roger the Homunculus, Abe Sapien, the underwater creature dude, and then there's Kraus, who used to be a psychic medium, but after a paranormal event, his spirit got separated from his body, and his body was actually like charred and electrified, but so now he's this gaseous spirit, and he's living in this bodysuit they made for him. So they're completely different characters. It's really awesome to see the range of characters in this book, but even though they're so alien, at the same time they're very human, at least with their relationships with each other. For example, in the first story in this book, Liz Sherman, another prominent figure in the Hellboy universe, she's the girl who can create fire and stuff. So she's kidnapped and used as an energy source for these demons. And these three go after her, not because it could potentially mean the end of the world, but because she's a part of their family. So the sense of camaraderie in this book is huge. Everything about each other for these agents. They work for the Bureau, but at times they don't really care. They just care about each other. And again, I'm not familiar with the Hellboy universe, so there's a lot of references back to past cases and characters that I was a bit confused on because I obviously didn't know anything about those cases, but I could still keep up. If you're like me and not too familiar, you should still read this book because it's really awesome. Don't be dismayed by the random references. But my favorite story out of all of the stories in here was the last one, Drums of the Dead. So in this story, there's a charter ship who is constantly followed by sharks, and they get random possessions going on. So someone will be possessed and they'll try to kill someone, and then they'll commit suicide by jumping into the shark-infested waters. And Abe Sapien and a psychic are hired to try to figure out what's going on. And Abe's able to deduce that all of these happenings are because the charter ship is on an old slave route. So basically, the people are being possessed by slave spirits. And I just thought it was so interesting. The historical content they brought into the story worked so well with it. I hate it when people bring history into fiction and it just doesn't meld correctly, if you understand what I mean. But yeah, it was really cool. And the way that Abe was able to save everyone, I thought it wasn't a huge, like, crazy ending. It didn't end with a bang, basically, but it was a very peaceful ending, and I really enjoyed it. Altogether, it was just a really well-written story. I'm sorry if I can't talk. But, yeah, that was my favorite one. The art is a little bit different than the rest of the book. Here's the art in the last story, and here's a sample of the rest of the book. And even though it was a little bit different, I think it worked because it was more gruesome. So it worked with the sharks and the crazy possessions. So, overall this book is really awesome. Again, if you're not too familiar with the Hellboy universe like I am, then you might have points of confusion, but overall I think this is worth a read. Each story was just really different and interesting, so definitely read this. I'm going to have to go back and find some Hellboy books and try to catch up and figure out what's going on, but overall this is a good book. Next, Next I'll review Chew. I mentioned it in my vlogging at the bookstore video, but I was so excited to finally pick up this book. I've been dying to read this because the plot is just so bizarre. It just seems like something I would enjoy, and it was. So, if you've never heard about it before, it's about him, Tony Chu, who is a detective, and he's also a psychopath, which means that he gets a psychic impression from whatever he eats. So, for example, if he eats a piece of bacon, then he's going to know what pig it came from, who killed the pig, how the pig died, how gruesome the death was, where the pig grew up. Basically the whole backstory of the pig, and it makes eating not enjoyable for him because he's overwhelmed by these stories of the food, but it makes him a great detective because all he has to do is just nibble on a corpse and he's able to see who killed the person, how they were killed, why they were killed. So it's a really twisted, weird story, but I really enjoyed it. So in this book, it starts off with him being really alienated by the rest of the cops because obviously no one understands what he's going through. He's just the weird detective who eats beets because he doesn't get any psychic things from beets. But eventually he's sort of recruited by the FDA, their Special Crimes Division, which I would have never imagined. I don't know if the FDA really does have a crime division. They probably do. But it's just weird seeing food and crime mixed together like they mixed in this book. But it made it so awesome. This book is so good. Well, in my opinion. There are points where I'm just like, let's just keep the story going. But overall, I think because of the uniqueness of the story, it just made the whole thing awesome. Have I said awesome already? Because I'm going to say it again, probably. They also give him a love interest in this book, which I thought was so funny because he doesn't actually talk to her at all, but she's just sort of perfect for him. They're this quirky couple. I forgot what her talent's called exactly, but she's a really good writer. She's a food critic, so if she writes about how delicious a meal was, the person reading it will be able to taste what she's describing or feel what she's feeling. So it makes her perfect for him because he's able to enjoy food now just by reading her work. And at the same time, if she writes something really disgusting, the person reading it will get nauseous or whatever she's feeling at the time. She actually stops some terrorists in this book because she starts describing this really nasty meal and they end up vomiting and stuff. But it's just it's so funny. I don't know, their talents just match up really well, and that's why I want to pick up the second volume, because I want to see where they go, and I also want to see what happens to him and his partner. I don't want to spoil it completely, but he gets a nemesis in this book, and I want to see them sort of fight it out in the end, or see what happens between them. I know there's a lot of volumes out now, so I have a lot of catching up to do, but I'm definitely going to try to pick up the second volume of this. Overall, great book. If you get queasy easily, I really don't think that's an issue. I didn't get any nasty, nauseous vibes from this. There are a lot of gory things. There's a lot of blood, a lot of vomiting, some crap here and there. But overall, I think this is a good book. If you like weird things or if you want to read something different, I've definitely never read a plot like this in novels or comic books. So if you like really out there stories that at the same time are really well written, then pick up this book. Okay, lastly, I have Skullkickers. This book is just so... Okay, 3 words to describe this book. Fun, action, and video games. That's 2 words, but still. Okay, so this book, if you are a big video game fan, this book reminds me of an RPG. Actually, it reminds me of League of Legends. Do you guys know League of Legends? Because just the characters and the setting it's in, and the different creatures like orcs, dwarves, wizards, everything was very League of Legends, or Lord of the Rings, actually. But this is a really fun read. Well, it's accurate because it's a comedy, which is one of the words describing it back here, but the story was not really a solid story. I sort of could tell what's going on, but it was just really fun because, first of all, it looks like an animated movie. Just an animated movie freeze-framed and put into book form. But because it's just a fun read. I don't really know how else to describe it. It it was a good read, but I don't think I'm going to pick up the second volume unless it's really cheap or something, then I'll pick it up. But overall, I just enjoyed this by itself. One of my favorite parts of this book were the little writings on the side. Let me see if I can find one. For example, if someone pulled out a sword, it would go slash or something. It was just really funny. It was really literal the way they wrote this book. See, he got hit and it says painful smack. Just those little notifications made me laugh throughout this book. But overall, if you're looking for a really thought-provoking book, don't read this. If you're looking for a fun video game inspired kind of book, something you can just get lost in because it's just so random, then get this book. Yeah, again, I probably won't pick up the second one unless there's a good deal, but overall, good book. Just a really fast, fun read. Yeah. Okay, that's all I got for today. 3 indies. Next time, if I do an indie video, I'll try to pick up more. I really enjoyed all 3 of these. But if I had to rank them... Ooh, I don't know. Well, I don't know. One of these 2 for sure. This comes in last, but they're all really good. All really different than what I'm used to. So, yeah, I'll try to pick up more in the future. Hopefully I'll have more BPRD, or actually, hopefully I'll have more Hellboy in the future. But yeah, okay, that's gonna be it. Thanks for watching, you guys, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!